Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning into HR World's first podcast. I'm Andrea, and here with me today is an employer brand expert that has helped some of the most reputable companies in the world find their true voice, define company culture, and a genuine employer brand. His name is Ali Ayaz, and I'm thrilled to talk with him today about the importance of an exceptional employer brand. It is no secret that the way companies recruit and retain top talent has gradually transformed from what we could say was fishing in a barrel to waging a war on top talent. It's in a large part due to technology advancement, social media, career review sites that make it very easy for job applicants to dismiss potential employers, sometimes just because they don't like the look and feel of it all. So many times companies also focus solely on the consumer-facing brand or how the company is perceived by its customers. Yet if the company is interested in not sabotaging the hiring efforts of HRs, which also saves the company a lot of money, an equal focus has to be on the employer brand. Or in simple words, the company culture facing outwards and attracting top talents and also retaining the top talents that fit the company like a glove. So without any further ado, let's dig deeper into the subject with Ali. Hi Ali, and welcome to Belgrade.
Hi, I'm happy to be here, really. I've never dreamt of having a podcast in Serbia before, and I'm really enjoying it.
Well, dreams do come true, especially for us here today. So let's start off this podcast with a few just very basic but thought-provoking questions. So let's begin with this one. How would you explain what employer brand is to a 10-year-old?
Okay, I hope I will never explain it to a 10-year-old. But I mean, the definition is the economic, emotional package a company offers to an employee. I mean, in short, this is what Simon Barrow defines. But it is a little more than that. I mean, it is delivering an experience to the candidate and employees that you promised. It's like a product marketing, and you promise something to your customers, emotional and functional, and you deliver it when the customer uses your product. Similarly, in employer brand, you promise something to your employees and you deliver the experience when they are working for you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It is a package of functional and emotional benefits and delivery of it as an experience.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So do you think that in terms of delivering what is promised, that it's very important for a company not to lie?
Of course, it has to be the truth. In product marketing, you can exaggerate a little bit. But in employer brand management, it has to be the truth. And you have to tell the truth. If the truth is not good, you don't like the truth about your company, then you have to restructure your HR practices, policies. But it has to be the truth. Otherwise, you attract people with untruthful promises. They come, they say it is not there, they leave. So you increase turnover, and your recruitment marketing department gets bigger. So you will need more recruiters, and you will have more turnover if your promise is not true.
Very good. So employer brand is not about trying to fool other people into thinking that your company is something that it's not, because eventually it backfires, not only in terms of HR doing more work, but also in terms of those people being true brand ambassadors. So if you're doing a good job, you will spend less money, right?
Yes, it is. Employer brand, employer brand contains all the HR practices, policies, and whatever you do in HR, plus marketing and communications. If you are doing a good job as an HR department, And if you are communicating it well, it becomes an employer brand. So it is nothing more than that. And one shouldn't expect more than that, actually. I mean,
Got it. So good things in life are typically or should be simple. So in those terms,
I mean, with employer brand, we want to create awareness in the job market, attraction, plus within the company, we want to create engagement and retention. That's why we want to communicate how good HR practices we have.
got it. So that would be the basic definition of what employer branding is. And we started this question by saying, okay, to a 10-year-old. But is there any difference in trying to explain this to, let's say, a CEO of a top multinational company that has trouble attracting top talent? So how do we approach that person?
Um, I want to start with this. If you are a good product brand, you are already, I mean, you have advantages to be a good employer brand. I can say this. To tell it to a CEO, I mean, top management don't, I mean, the first thing they buy in is the functional benefits because this is how they're measured or judged by the shareholders. So you need to show them the functional benefits, the numbers first, then the emotional benefits. So it is, yes, attraction of top talent, and top talent performs, they say, 3.8 times better than an average talent. So this is why we invest in employer brand management, communication, marketing, to attract top talent. So if we have top talent, it means our company is going to perform better. And there are researches showing how it affects revenue and profitability in many industries. You can show them numbers rather than
Everyone
emotional
understands
ones.
numbers.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it is. That's why HR needs to speak the language of business. I mean, you speak the language of business, you show the benefits, and you become strategical rather than operational HR.
Got it. So we could say that having a strong employer brand is a smart business decision.
Definitely, yes. You will have engaged employees and you will have engaged customers. Very simple. If you are in a retail business or even in banking with many branches, if you increase engagement in your branches, you will increase the engagement of customers. The frontline employees, I mean, they interact with customers. That's very simple. I mean, we did several projects. We started as employer brand management, then it turned into customer engagement as well. And we searched for the tools within the company to increase customer engagement as well, which is very much related to employee engagement. So it wasn't that difficult.
So here's a question from the top of my head. Is it worse for a company not to have employer brand or to have a very bad one?
To have a very bad one is a disaster, actually. I mean, it costs a lot. The turnover is a costly thing. Recruitment is costly, and you are losing your customers, which costs much more than that. So it is a costly thing.
Good. So people are naturally drawn to apply to positions for companies that treat their employees well. Is it that simple?
Yes, that's simple. Very simple. Because the current employees working for you, they are your ambassadors. They talk about you. Not only your employees, but also your vendors, training companies. I mean, the companies they are giving you services or products, raw material. They know about you and they talk about you. It is like you are buying something on internet, let's say I'm buying something on eBay, an electronic device, I check the reviews, okay, of the users, and I see, oh, 5 star, okay, I tend to buy it. I read deeper. It's like that. I mean, someone wants to apply your company, they check the reviews, they talk to your employees, or they talk to someone that know your employees.
Exactly. So, but what do you think? I mean, for me personally, when I go and I want to buy a product and I see only 5 star reviews, that kind of sparks some, let's say, I get a little bit suspicious if things are all that good. So sometimes is it good to balance out the exceptional reviews, but to also have some people that keep it moderate? So let's say 4.5 stars.
You mean you need to reduce your stars in the market? I wouldn't suggest that. I mean, there are websites like Indeed, Glassdoor. When you go there, you see the reviews of the employees or the candidates. On Indeed, you can see the candidate reviews as well. So I wouldn't suggest reducing the stars.
But just keeping it real,
Of
right?
course, keeping it real. I mean, if there are bad stars, bad reviews, you can reply. You can ask for more to understand what's going wrong, and you correct it within your company.
Very good. So that's like free advice,
Yes.
right? So it's like a beta version of something. You have other
Of course.
people doing the work for you.
Of course. It is I mean, any feedback is a good feedback, as long as it is, I mean, true.
As long as it's true, very
Yes.
good.
If it is not your competitor, they are giving the feedback.
Okay, so it has to be genuine. So before we talk about recruitment marketing, let's clear something up. So what is the difference between employer branding and employer brand? So there's a huge misconception about this. What is this about?
Yeah, Simon Barrow doesn't. I mean, he says employer brand management and employer branding are two different things. Employer branding is only a part of employer brand management, which is very much related to the communications of employer brand management. Communications part of the employer brand management. Employer brand management is a wider, bigger concept than employer branding, which is only the communications part of it.
Got it. So it's like an umbrella term that also includes other things and not just
Exactly, yes.
for a brand.
I mean, it is not only communications. You cannot create a brand with just communications. You need to have a good product. If you are looking from product marketing point of view, a good product, good idea, good packaging, coloring, colors, I mean, positioning, etc., many things in the market, then the communications. And employer brand management is the same. You need to have a good company where people want to work, then the communications, which is the branding part, I mean, employer branding.
Many HR professionals use the term employer branding or employer brand and recruitment marketing interchangeably. So what would you say are the biggest differences between those two?
Actually, people think employer brand management is recruitment marketing, but it is not. Marketing, as we talked before, is a wider, bigger concept than communications. Communication is only part of marketing. So recruitment marketing is bigger than recruitment communications. You have much more things to do in the marketing, which I'm not going into details.
Okay, so which one comes first? You'd say employer brand, and then recruitment marketing is like a subsidiary?
Definitely. Employer brand, I mean, employer brand is for the current employees to increase their engagement and retention first, then attraction and awareness and recruitment. And recruitment marketing is a small part of employer brand management, and communications in recruitment marketing is a small part of it. So
So it's like a Russian doll.
Yeah, it is like a Russian doll. Exactly.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So I have read this quote on the internet, and I'm sorry, I don't know who said this, but it's stuck with me. It says recruitment is marketing. If you're a recruiter nowadays and you don't see yourself as a marketer, you're in the wrong profession. It's a very bold statement, don't you think?
Um,
Do you agree with this,
I
and to
don't
which
agree.
extent?
I don't agree.
Okay,
Yes.
let's discuss.
Yeah, recruitment has marketing in it, but it is not marketing. It has. I mean, I think it is some. It was someone not from recruitment. Recruitment has a job definition, sourcing, uh, recruitment, offering job, pre-boarding, maybe onboarding. So it is not just marketing. Marketing is just a little part of it. So they are two different things.
Okay, so Ali, what type of talent is the hardest to find and attract?
You mean among all the industries? I think all around the world, retail businesses and IT companies are struggling to find talent. It is anywhere in the world they are struggling because everybody wants good IT skills, and I think for retail because they pay less, they are struggling because of the payments, the salaries. But for IT, and with the development of latest technologies, we need good IT people, and they are
Scarce, they're hard to find.
they are hard to
Yeah.
find. So
Rare gems.
yes, you cannot
Rare
find them
gems.
easily.
So, what do you think talent is?
Actually, I have seen many definitions of talent, and the best one I like is Dave Ulrich's definition. He says talent equals to competency multiplied by commitment multiplied by contribution. I think this is one of the best, if not the best, definitions of talent. You need to have the competencies and commitment into your company, and contribution. That means the employee contributes to the company and he also gets the benefit out of the company.
Good. So would you argue that what makes a great employee is the emotional investment into the company and their own job? Or would you say that functional presides over emotional?
Both.
Both?
Yes, I mean, you mean the benefits that get out of the company? Of course, it is both. They need to have a salary and a good physical environment that they go into functional benefits, and also the emotional benefits to be, I mean, the culture of the company, the business they are doing, how they contribute to the world, let's say. These are the emotional benefits. So to be there, you need both functional and emotional benefits.
A great employer brand also means that you can spend less on recruiting costs because people will naturally find you attractive and they will just apply to your open positions. So, which tools give the best results when it comes to hiring?
Many, not only hiring, but I mean, to develop employer brand, a good employer brand, you have many tools and you have many points to check to measure it later on. I cannot specify a tool because the tool is developed according to your company's need, your company's culture. So when you develop your brand or EVP, let's say, EVP is the platform to step on and to create your actions or communication, and you design it according to your culture, the vision of the company, and your needs. So, and you will see the tools necessary to communicate it or to develop it. later on. So it depends on your company's needs, let's say.
Okay, so it's tailor-made.
Tailor-made.
So there
Yeah.
isn't one solution that fits all.
No,
But could we agree that social media also
is
is
one of them.
It's
Yes.
one of them.
For the communication, yes, definitely. And I suggest no company needs to copy an EVP or an application, a communication style from another company, because it just won't fit.
One shoe doesn't fit all.
Never fits.
Good. So we have social media. We have let's say job descriptions that stand out. So they all need to paint one picture about the company. They need to be correlated, and in that sense, let's say unified. So what do you think about word of mouth? How does that compare to social media and job descriptions?
One of the most important ones, as I was saying, when people are looking for a job, for a new position, when they are applying for a new position, they talk to the current employees or vendors, or someone knows one of your employees. So it is word of mouth.
So happy employees, definitely the best
Definitely.
brand ambassador.
Definitely, always. That's why first you need to increase the engagement and retention, then attractiveness, awareness and attractiveness. That's why you start with your employees first. You increase the engagement, happiness, let's say, retention, then go out to look for new employees.
Right.
If you start from outside, as we talked, you just increase turnover because you promise things that they are not there yet. You recruit people with your promises. They come and go. And they create a worse reputation because when they go out, they talk badly about your company. They just not come and go, increasing turnover. They start talking badly about your company, which is a bad reputation.
Right, it's a disaster waiting
Yes.
to happen.
Definitely.
Got it. So as they would say in horror movies, the call is coming from inside the house.
Yes.
It's always like this.
It is always
right?
like that.
Okay, so the way I understood employer branding, and without even knowing what employer branding is, when I started out my career, it was always a question of if this company was a person, would I have coffee with them? Would I go out with them? Do we have something to talk about? Do we share the same values? So what are your thoughts on trying to personify a company as a person and then seeing do we like each other? Are we a good fit? Is that a good way for an employee to think about this?
I mean, when a company recruits, they recruit for several things. It is the competencies, cultural fit, managerial fit. So they already check if you fit in the culture or not, if you will get on well or not. And of course, you need to check as well if you are going to fit in the culture of the company.
Got it. So
If you're a good match, otherwise you will not stay there for long, even if you have the competencies, if you are not fitting culturally.
So I've noticed that the trends in HR are moving slowly, though, from being focused solely on the competencies to shifting that focus to if this is culturally appropriate in terms of do we like each other? Do we fit? Do we share the same values? And then HRs are starting to think, okay, so a person can learn and adopt new skills, but if they
Definitely,
don't
definitely.
fit, they don't fit in.
I think it was always like that. They have been checking it for years. It is not something new. Yes, of course the skills can be learned. That's why we have learning and development departments. We teach new skills to the employees.
Good. So let's talk about the key trends in employer brand. Have you noticed any key trends in the past couple of years or less?
Actually, as I said, most of the companies think it is recruitment marketing, so they invest much more than before on recruitment marketing. Um, on the other side, is a good thing. They started to measure other things that they didn't measure before, like candidate experience, internship experience, onboarding experience, which are good. I mean, this is how we measure the effectiveness of our employer brand. They started to measure them, and I really like it.
Mm-hmm. So it's more hard data
Yeah,
instead of a gut feeling.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Has to be. Okay, very good. So let's go into the technical bits. So how should one start building their employer brand?
It is in any project you start with understanding current position, situation. So first you need to define your scope, what you want to do and what not to do. Then you analyze the situation, what's happening now, how you are perceived in the market, the image of your employer. I mean, as an employer, what is your image? And internally, the engagement level, what's going on, what people are talking about the company, outside the company. So you can start internally, you can start with checking your employee engagement survey. There are 2-3 open-end questions. You can analyze them semantically, what people are talking about. Then you go deeper and you talk to the newcomers first, what attracted them to your company. Then with the old employees you can talk about what keeps them there, so you can understand the attractiveness and retention attributes.
Mm-hmm.
Then of course you need to know the vision of the company, where your company is heading. You can talk to the top management. So from there you start I mean, you know the current situation, you know where the company is heading. Then you start the definition of your talent, future talent, I can say, the candidate persona. I mean, the umbrella persona, not for each job family. You need to do it later on. Then the EVP.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, we want this kind of talent in our company, but what should we propose them to come and work for our company? That leads you to developing your EVP. And from there on you start communication process as well, creative development. Then you implement the EVP, the promise, let's say, into all the touch points, candidate and employee touch points, so you can deliver the promise.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes an experience for your candidates and employees.
Mm-hmm. That's a lovely word, experience.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
It is the experience. Yes, you
Mm-hmm.
promise something, and they experience it.
Mm-hmm.
If you just promise, and it stays as a promise, there is no delivery.
Got it.
So the key word is the delivery of your promise, actually.
Got it. Keeping your promise.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, Ali. So what happens if a company wants to do employer brand but doesn't really have a definite company culture set up?
Mhm. Actually, either you develop a better employer brand or not, you have an employer brand. Either you work on it or not. It is already there in the market as reputation. People talk about your company. And within your company, with your engagement, retention, productivity, it is already there. Either you work on it or not. So you just don't create one, you develop what you have. So you make it better. If you are doing I mean, as a consultant, it is a project for us. But it is a company, it has to be there. It has to be there all the time, like your marketing and finance department. So you constantly need to work on your employer brand.
Mm-hmm. So the first step is the realization that it exists
Yes.
already.
Yes, it is there already.
Mm-hmm.
People are talking in the market, in job market, people are talking about your company in a way. And in your company, you feel it with the productivity, as I said, engagement levels, turnovers, you feel it. So if you are not happy with that, if you are not happy with your company or organizational image in the market and the productivity turnovers in your company, you just start to make it better, develop it.
Mm-hmm.
It is already created.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. So let's get philosophical for a moment. What are the key questions a company should ask itself before they start improving their employer brand?
Mm. Philosophical questions. I don't know if they need to ask philosophical questions.
Okay, it's just here. We can move on to
Okay.
another question. So, okay, what specific problems does employer brand aim to repair?
Oh, it. I mean, it improves your retention and engagement, which leads to productivity and customer retention and increase profitability. On the other hand, it increases awareness and attraction in the market
Mm-hmm.
outside of the company.
Okay, that's very precise.
Yeah.
And so, is there any problem that employer brand cannot solve?
I mean, it is not a magic, to
Uh-huh.
solve
It's not a
any
magic
problem.
wand.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it is
Mm-hmm.
not. So, if you have constructive problems in your company, you need to something you need to restructure. It will not solve.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So if the problems run deeper,
yeah,
then
it shows you that there is a problem, but it will not solve it. You have to solve it.
mm-hmm. Got it. Got it. So let's talk about your day or how you do business. So you get an email, and a company wants to improve their employer brand. So can you tell us some more about establishing a project in the company, just the process itself?
Yes, we receive a call or an email or a limousine, and we go to visit our customers. And of course, we have a dozen of questions. We ask them to understand the situation. Why do they really want to improve their employer brand? Let's say not create, but improve their employer brand. And from then on, we start with receiving their data, a lot of data, all the data they have for the last 3 years, the employee engagement survey and other surveys, whatever they have, focus group results, and employer image surveys. If they don't have it, we do the survey. Then many focus groups, starting with recruitment, what type of people they are looking for, the recruitment job postings, advertisements, then the recruiters, what story they are telling to the candidates. Do they have different candidates? I mean, each recruiters, if they have different stories that they are telling to candidates, it's a dangerous situation. Then we move into talent management. I mean, all the sections, people in HR department, if it is a small HR department, if it's a big one, we select people to talk to one-to-one, 1 hour or 2 hours. And we understand all the practices, policies of HR. Then from then on, we talk to the top management to understand the vision of the company, where it is heading. All the top management team, one-to-one. Then we start focus groups, new grads, new recruited. Then new recruited professionals, they have experience in other companies. Then the employees that have been working in the company for 6, 8 years, 10 years maybe. to understand what keeps them there. I mean, we talk attraction, retention, leadership, communication, many things. We have about 40 checkpoints.
Wow.
Yes, so they are 1.5 2 hour focus groups, tiring sometimes for them as well.
It's very meticulous.
Yes, we understand. I mean, we know we have the employee engagement surveys, but we want to understand deeper. Then we have the interim report, midway report, to discuss with the head of employer brand project. Then we prepare a presentation for the steering committee, employer brand steering committee. Sometimes it is 20, sometimes 40 people, sometimes 100 people if it's a large corporation. Then we have a workshop where we present the results of our research, let's say. Then we start defining the talent, the candidate persona, then the EVP. After that, we start developing the creative part of it. I mean, creative communication, marketing part. And then we start implementing the EVP in all the touch points, as I explained before. I mean, it starts with source. I mean, we start with the most urgent ones, but the touch points have sourcing, recruitment, talent management, performance management, alumni management, everything. A typical one has, I mean, in a typical company we have about 26 touch points. It can be more or less where you touch your candidates and employees. So you have to implement the EVP in your touch points, otherwise it remains as an EVP. It doesn't deliver.
Got it. Well, thank you so much for going into nits and bits of your process. I really appreciate it. Okay, so once we have developed the EVP, once we have done and went through all the steps, the final question is, how do we really measure the success of what we have done?
Oh, you can measure it in many ways. You have the employee engagement survey. You can develop an employer brand index. I will not go into deeper here, but it can be found in my book. They can download it on aliayaz.com, and they can measure it with social media reviews, onboarding surveys, turnover reports, exit interviews. They can measure it in many ways, many ways. So it is easy to measure.
So if the job is been done in a good way, it's easy to measure. If it hasn't been successful, always the numbers will show.
Exactly.
So it's very exact.
Very well.
In that sense. Okay, perfect.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, well, it was lovely to have you here, Ali, for the second time in Belgrade. And for the people who don't know this, Ali had a masterclass on HR Week in December, and it was only a few months ago. So it's really a pleasure to have you here again, and we hope to have you in Belgrade. Yes, now that we are friends, don't be a stranger to Belgrade. And thank you so much for this wonderful conversation.
Thank you for inviting me.